Hi folks, this is Tim, aka Turbo BB, with yet another flashlight review. Today I will be covering the Niteye EYE25, which is Niteye's follow-up to their first high-end series, which is the Niteye EYE30. So right off the bat, as you can see, this one came in a cardboard box. It's got this extended tube here, and they also have now featured their new logo right there. Right, with that said, got the unboxing. So looks like they have included printed instructions here. No graphics yet, so nothing fancy, but straightforward. Put that on the side. Nice ample cushioning. It's got the head of the light here disassembled, as well as a lanyard ring and the tube itself. Okay, so that's it. Put that on the side. So as you can see, it's essentially the EYE30's head. It's got pretty much all the same features, except this one has the, I don't know if that's stainless, but I would say light-colored aluminum ring versus the standard one that I received with the EYE30. Okay, it features this adapter here. Just unscrew that for a second. And again, like I said, it's essentially identical to the EYE30's head. However, one curious thing though is that I just noticed that on this particular adapter here, there is no O-ring, so I don't know if that was an oversight or whatnot, but I'll be contacting Niteye about that. So with that said, we would thread the adapter to the main battery tube. Requires a fair amount of force here. It's no doubt due to the nice thick O-ring on the battery tube. And get this threaded to the light. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, it doesn't thread all the way down if I thread too much of the battery tube, so let me unwind that a little bit. There you go. Okay, so as you can see, this is the EYE25 in all its glory, full length. Again, essentially the same features. There's a charging port here. Still missing the polarity indicators, but anyway, center tip is positive. It actually does not have the rubber cover as the EYE30 had, which is right there. Okay. Still features the attachment point for the handle, although it didn't come with one. And last but not least, the battery indicator. Now, peering into the light itself, you can see it's powered by 3 XML U2s. Features a stainless steel bezel for each of these LEDs. Nice massive heatsink here. Now, I did actually conduct a runtime testing, and previously with the EYE30 I actually had the ring freeze up, but on this particular model I did not, and I hit about 115 degrees Fahrenheit on that. So with that said, moving along, you will notice some distinct similarities in both the finish as well as the design with some of JetBeam's products, and as I had mentioned in my review, the reason for that is because it's really the same designer. Okay, so appearing at the tail cap, you have again the new logo that's embossed into the rubber tail cap cover. Another stainless steel cover for here, and there's actually a breakaway lanyard. I'm not sure if that comes through for you on the camera, but it's a little I guess detachment point here where, in case God forbid, you know, your hand gets bound or something, this would actually break away. So right, decent lanyard supplied. Let's go ahead and remove the tail cap. Okay, pretty standard. Got a spring in the rear, as well as a contact plate for the negative points. Right, threads are anodized, and I believe they are square cut. Hold on, wait for the camera to focus here. Okay, with decent amount of grease applied. Just gonna go ahead and grab 2 batteries here, plop those in. Now these are XR 18700s. The reason why I specifically picked these is because they're super long at 69.3 millimeters each. As you can see, it's fairly wide, so yet the tube is able to accommodate that without any issues. So no problems fitting two of these in series. Okay. So I did forget to cover it. The light does feature texturing here, although it's not very aggressive, so it does provide some aid in the grip. But however, though, it does come with this cigar grip ring here that I guess if you chose to, you could actually hold the light in a cigar grip. Okay. Now, with that said, the switch here at the tail cap is actually the master on-off button. So again, this controls the main power for the light. If this is off, regardless of what you do with the controlling, the light will not turn on. Okay, go ahead and turn that on. Going to actually rotate this counterclockwise from standby first to show you the strobe mode. Okay, it is a variable rate. Off, one more time, and it goes into this nice flashing beacon mode in case you need to signal somewhere or just leave a signal somewhere. And then last but not least, one more turn. Oh, I guess I waited too long. There we go. That is for the battery indicator. Right, as the batteries are depleted, these bars will go down, although I do not know exactly what the voltage is for each of these lines. I will attempt to grab that in the future and capture that in my review. So now, I'm going to actually power up the light. I'm going to put it at an angle so I don't throw off the exposure on the camera. So one turn right will actually turn on just one single LED. All right. If you turn it off and turn it back on, it'll actually cycle over to the next one in a clockwise rotation, as you can see. Right. I suppose it's a novelty, but some people have claimed that, hey, you know what, because cycling through the LEDs, it actually saves the life of each one by balancing it out. So, okay. So with that said, power up, low level is 1 LEDs, second level is 2 LEDs, third level is 3 LEDs, and then finally turbo mode is basically 3 LEDs but with more output. Okay. All right, the ring actually rotates pretty silently, and although I don't quite feel the same amount of grease applied on this particular model. Again, this is a review sample, so I don't know if it's particular to my unit, but the detents, while there, I'm going to try to keep this as quiet as possible. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's fairly light. I mean, it is there, but I would have actually preferred perhaps just a little bit more tactile feedback. But in the end, it works. So, okay, so with that said, I'm going to actually conduct a quick output measurement on my PVC LMD. Shift this over here and sorry, let's just get this adjusted. Cut out the lights. Now, as I always mention, I typically like to, well, calibrate the sensor by first using a Xeno G10 V2. Again, the reasoning for this is because it runs immediately in near perfect regulation, flat regulation, on medium mode at about roughly 180 lumens. You obviously are not going to be able to see that, so let me just turn on. So as you can see, it's closely enough. It's about 180, and this is in the 400 range mode. Of course, now it's actually capturing some of the ambient light from the i30 itself. So, however, once you bump it to the 4K range mode, because it is less sensitive, it will actually now read about 165 lumens. That's fine. I'd rather err on the side of conservativeness rather than overdoing it. So, that said, I'm going to actually go ahead, dump the EYE25 on here, and use the G10 V2 to monitor the output. So as you can see, single LED is roughly about 50 lumens. Bump that up. 2 LEDs, we're now roughly 300 lumens. 3 LEDs, now just over 1100. Now, the reason why you see that meter jumping up and down like that is because the EYE25 does utilize PWM, although to my eyes, I'm actually pretty sensitive to PWM, but I do not notice any flickering at all, so that's good news for prospective owners who are sensitive as well. Finally, we're going to hit the turbo mode. Okay, it's roughly about 2200 lumens, just over. So again, I have noticed that my PVC LMD does tend to overestimate a little, so take that with a grain of salt. But again, it's always been, I've measured many lights, it's in the ballpark, so I feel comfortable saying, yeah, it does meet that 2000 lumens specs, ANSI specs as claimed by Niteye. All right, so with that said, that concludes this review. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.